Hello. The Divine Code reading for September 17th, pages 203 and 204. We're in the chapter, The Obligation to Eliminate Idol Worship and the Prohibition of Benefiting from It. Topic 7. This prohibition of benefit only applies if the questionable object is found in its original respectable fashion. So surely it was not nullified. But if there is still doubt whether it was made for either idol worship or decoration, such as a monument, in contrast, forms and images found discarded in a marketplace or among waste, scraps, or garbage are permitted for benefit, since they are surely nullified. See Milulam notes on Shokanoric Eurodea 141:7. How much more so for scattered parts or broken pieces of idols that are found in any condition or place. See Tractate of Vodazara 41. For Jews, broken pieces of discarded idols are permitted, since there are multiple reasons to doubt if they are forbidden. But broken discarded idols are forbidden, since they only have one doubt, and they may not have been nullified. Since this only applies for Jews upon whom the rabbinical authorities added extra stringencies for cases when definite prohibition might apply to a particular item, but a doubt is present But as Rambam explains, the laws of ritual impurity imparted by a human corpse, the Torah law itself is lenient from the onset if there is as much as a 50% possibility that a definite prohibition does not apply to an item, and the rabbinical authorities did not add any stringency for Gentiles. So the questions about an object, if they're not sure about an object, if it's reasonable to think that the item has been discarded, it's been nullified, it's no longer seen as an idol. If it's reasonable to think that, then that is sufficient to say that it's not an idol. That's not it's not a functional idol. A Jew has extra stringencies because of rabbinic decrees. These rabbinic decrees were not given to the non-Jew, and therefore the non-Jew does not have to go that extra step concerning the stringency. If one finds a hand, foot, or some other limb of an idol, or a statue of a star or constellation, meaning the idolatrous form associated with a star or constellation that was worshipped, such as a crowned king atop a chariot, as a representation of the sun, and it is found on its intended base, then one must not benefit from it, since it definitely comes from an idol that had been worshipped, and it is not known whether it was nullified, and therefore it can be assumed that it was not nullified. So if a person came across an idol, a recognizable idol, and it's on its base, that would be sufficient to say, it's on its pedestal. That would be sufficient to say that the idol is still functional as an idol and therefore should not be used for benefit. Since it is not uncommon that idol worshippers will worship a separate limb from an idol, it is forbidden unless it is known that the idol's worshippers have annulled its status as their god. If it is found thrown on the ground away from the original place, it is permitted, since it is possible that it was nullified. So if the statue is broken and the piece is right next to where it's placed in an honorable manner, it's at the base, an arm fell off the idol, and it's placed in an honorable manner on the pedestal with the idol. Then it's known, okay, that piece is still still has the status of an idol, and therefore it would not be permitted to derive benefit from it. But if the piece is found 100 yards away, and it's obviously in a discarded manner, then it would be considered okay to be used for benefit. Shokin or Eurydia, chapter 141. It is obvious that this only applies when there is such a custom to worship pieces of an idol. But when the custom is never to worship pieces of an idol, then pieces are nullified automatically when they break off from the idol, even accidentally. And these pieces are permitted to benefit from. And this is also discussed in the next topic, in topic 8. So if, a lot of times idolatry changes from one location to another, or what's acceptable. In one location, it might be that the piece that falls off the idol still has the status of the idol. And in another place, another city, the status may be that if a piece falls off, it no longer has the status of the idol. So you have to go upon the local custom to know whether or not how this is handled. Topic 8. If one finds gold or silver vessels or silk clothes, on which there is a figure of a dragon or a sun, the moon, a planet or constellation, meaning the idolatrous images associated with the celestial spheres, or if one finds these images engraved on nose rings or ordinary rings, as all such items were considered important, and it was customary to make them for idol worship, then one may not benefit from them. If such items are found on other vessels, then these vessels may be used because it is assumed that they were put there for decoration. Similarly, all other types of figures, such as an image of an actual sun, a moon, or other animals found on any type of vessel, are assumed to be put there for decoration and are permitted. So and again, it depends on the local custom. Whatever would be considered an honorable vessel, made of silver, made of gold, a silk, cloth, something of a higher royal kind of honorability to it. If a person finds the image of an idol on that kind of an object, it can be assumed that it's used for idol worship. Whereas if it's just some common thing, and the person finds the image on that, then it can be assumed that it's just for decoration. And again, it depends on the local custom of what would be considered honorable for that idol. Rambam, The Laws of the Worship of Stars and Idols, 7-8, Shokanoric, Eurydia, 141. However, this ruling exists only for vessels, which here include jewelry and clothing, whose purpose is unknown. If it is known that a vessel, even an unimportant one, was used for idol worship. So if it's just a common piece of clothing that has the idolatrous image on it, but that common piece of clothing is something the priest would use in that particular worship service, then that would still, it depends on the local custom for that idol. Or if it is meant to beautify the idolatrous service, it is forbidden to benefit from it. If it is known that a vessel was not intended or used for idolatry, it is permitted for benefit even if it has the images described here. Shokanor Uridea, and it's 141, and Shak 141:13. So if in the local area people have fancy vessels and it has the idolatrous image on it, but they use it just as for common use, it's for decorative purposes for common use, then that would be permitted for use, for benefit. Nowadays, the ways of idolatry are different, and each sect follows its own statutes and rituals. Therefore, any vessels that appear to be used for idolatry according to the current practices in a given place are forbidden. If not, they are permitted. And it's Rima Uridea, chapter 141. So it all depends on the local area. That local area. There might be some idolatrous practices that are more aesthetic, more they don't go for the grandiose, they go for sackcloth, but that's their worship service, and therefore that would be considered an idolatrous item. Whereas in other place, regular people might wear silk, but it's for common use, and then it would not be considered an idolatrous item. So it all depends on the local custom. Thank you.